Anyway, so welcome back to another video, guys. So today we're outside. I thought I'd do something a little bit different because we're outside and it's just a little bit nicer out here. Although I think I'm gonna have to move because people are obviously walking by and I can't like take up their space. So yeah, let's find a new location until then. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, now I found a new location. Welcome back to the channel if you're regular, and welcome if you're brand new. So basically I just kind of do videos on kind of like my own personal experiences and advice for that, and also trying to be that person in your corner, really. So I guess without further ado, let's get into today's video. Am I black enough? you know? Or the thought of being like, oh, I don't feel like I am black enough, and it's definitely something I've struggled with growing up as well. So I'm trying to see if I can sit on this a bit more, but I think I'll probably end up falling over the side a little bit. So yeah, am I black enough? And what does that mean, really? So obviously, if you are a person of colour, I don't know if this is for everybody, but I definitely feel like growing up, I struggled a lot with trying to figure out if I really am black enough, and also then being told by people around me that I'm not black. Do you know what I mean? Like being told that by people you thought are your friends, or like if it's kind of like in passing, not exactly them saying that, oh, you're not black enough, but it's more like them being like, some of the things you do are white, being told that kind of thing. And I think I definitely struggled with this a lot growing up, throughout high school, college. Through college, it got a little bit better because throughout high school and stuff, I went to a predominantly white high school, and because of that, I obviously had a lot of white friends. And then I guess I kind of adopted a bit more of the culture, I guess you could say, but also just like, okay, maybe not adopting the culture, but more so like not embracing my own culture as much as I would have liked to, being worried that they're going to say something about the way I've done my hair, which they actually did, but I just think they didn't get it. They didn't get it. That's like a really big thing that I think I understood later on in life, that unless you're a person of colour, you're not going to understand it. But then, like I said, through college, you got a bit better because I went to a more diverse college, I'd say. I was going to say a more black college, but I wouldn't say it was that black. Like it was, but I would just classify it as probably a bit more diverse. Definitely a lot more diverse than my high school, I can tell you that much. So yeah, I was told by one of my friends once that like the way I behave and stuff is very white, and I'm not black enough, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just kind of, it just got me thinking at the time, and I was kind of like, well, what do you mean I'm not black enough? Like at the time I did pull them up about it. I was like, what are you talking about? But they couldn't really give me a straight answer. It was kind of just like, oh, like the music you listen to, or like the certain things I do. And I'm kind of like, well, that doesn't have anything to do with if I'm black enough or anything like that. And then also it's like they obviously have their own standard of what's seen as black. And then I had my own version of like what I saw as being black. As long as you're not like putting yourself down or trying to change the way you look to match people, or trying to behave in a certain way that is acceptable for them, to please these other people, then you can be as black as you want to be, if that makes sense. I just don't think being told by somebody else that you're not black enough equates for anything, because at the end of the day, you kind of need to like find your own version, I guess, of being black, because obviously there's going to be things which align and which kind of cross over, and yeah, this is like a thing of like black culture and things like that. But then there's obviously going to be other times where it's kind of like, oh, this is what I see as embracing my culture, and if that's not how you see it, then that's fine. You do your thing, but this is my version of it and it's still acceptable. So I think that's also like a thing I slowly came to accept throughout college, like I was saying. I feel like I'm gonna have to put my sunglasses back on because it's just so bright. So yeah, for this little segment, I guess you'll see me with my shades on. Oh gosh, that's so much better. Like, I know you can't see me, you can't see my eyes exactly, but this is like, I'm not squinting anymore. I kind of touched on it in the previous point, but just the thought of trying to please somebody else. Because like I said, predominantly white high school. And I think a lot of the time it was very much, I need to act a certain way for the white people to like me. I feel like this is probably something we all go through at some point, because we feel like we want to be accepted into any social setting. We want to be able to walk into any social setting and feel like we belong. And that was kind of toxic because it made me think that for a very brief period of time, I did think that, oh, maybe it'd be easier to be white. Or more like, I wish I was white, so then I didn't have to deal with some of the stuff I dealt with. And I feel like that might be a passing thought for a lot of people of colour, because it's a known fact that things are easier if you are white, because of the fact that the world is set up for white people. It's not set up for people of colour. So that's kind of like why you need to try and find space within that. Not even find space, make space within a white space where you can belong. And unfortunately, like I said, for high school, that I was too shy to be doing that kind of thing. And also there wasn't anybody else in my regular classes who were of colour. So it was quite literally just me fighting for my life. So because of that, I felt like some of the stuff I said, like, I think it's called code switching. So I had to code switch a lot of the time. So then what I was saying was okay by the standards of the white people. Whereas if I was talking to like my black friends or like just any other friends that weren't white really, or my family and stuff, like obviously I would speak in such a different way. A lot of the time I would speak like kind of like how I'm speaking to you now. This is generally just how I speak. However, when I am with certain people, I do switch up just a little bit, like on what I'm saying or how I say it, I guess. I think in social settings, you shouldn't have to do that. Like if it's genuinely just you're hanging out with people, you shouldn't have to code switch exactly. However, I just didn't feel like I would be able to do that and be accepted by the white people, which was just really sad thinking back on it, because at the end of the day, it was kind of like I wasn't accepting myself. However, as I grew up, and as I am still growing up now, I started to realize and kind of solidifying as well that pleasing other people is not going to get me anywhere. It's just going to get rid of the type of person that I am, and it's going to stop me from actually being myself. And then it's kind of like, well, what is actually the real me, you know? After college, I definitely felt a little bit more in touch with my culture, and I felt a little bit more in touch with myself and kind of like how I see and perceive myself as a black woman. For this, I'm just trying to say that you don't have to change yourself to fit in with the white majority. Obviously, like I said, there will be certain sections, certain parts of life where it actually can't be helped. Like, for example, if you're at work in a professional setting, don't change yourself in relaxed social settings because you think that's how you should behave. You're allowed to change up how you speak depending on where you are. However, the main point is don't change you as a person. As I kind of like touched on a little bit earlier, just feeling like asking myself the question of, am I black enough in terms of, do I feel like I'm connected to my own culture? I myself am Ghanaian. To this day even, I kind of still feel like I'm not 100% myself in terms of being in touch with my own culture. And by that, I mean, I don't know enough about being Ghanaian. Well, I'm Ghanaian Nigerian, but I was born in Ghana, so I'll claim the Ghanaian side more. To this day even, just me figuring out like, what does it actually mean to be Ghanaian? And still trying to figure out how I fit in with that culture. But I guess like the good side of things though, when I look at it like that, is that I do have a lot of friends as well who were born in Africa, but came over to the UK, and they themselves are somewhat, I think, kind of in the same space as me, now more so than before. I do feel connected to being Black, but do I feel connected to being Ghanaian? Not 100%, because of the fact that, like, there's bits I don't know, and then also the fact that I don't know the language as well, which is, like I said, it's just sad. It's just sad not to know the language, because knowing the language feels like you're a little bit more connected to it all. There are other ways to feel connected to your culture. You don't have to just think that, oh, because I'm not doing this, I'm not Black. Because I'm not doing this, I'm not Ghanaian. Because I'm not doing this, I'm not Kenyan, or whatever it may be. It's not down to that. Because like I said in the previous section as well, that it's very much dependent on how you're choosing to be part of your culture, how you're choosing to take on you being Black. As long as you're willing to learn more about yourself, basically. As long as you're willing to learn more about yourself, then that's all that really matters, to be honest. Take it as it comes. Honestly, take it as it comes. Which is kind of like, I think, a weird thing to say for like your own culture and your own ethnicity and whatever else. But that's really, truly all you can actually do. Like I said, me being told that I'm not Black enough, that I'm acting white, that my music taste is white and all this kind of stuff, is just like, what do you actually want me to do about that? You know what I mean? Like, I like what I like and I'll do what I do. But yeah, I had to put my shades back on. I keep squinting. Can't have wrinkles at my young age. Sorry I have to put the shades on, guys, but it's just, there's literally like nowhere with shade. Because I've got hay fever. And me even having my mask off is just a bit risque right now. But there's nowhere with shade that doesn't involve a big tree and grass. So I'm out in the sun by the concrete and stuff. So I've kind of rambled a little bit, but my overall thing is just, there's levels to this. I feel like I've said this in so many videos, but there really are levels to this. And being told you're not Black enough and feeling like you're not Black enough and I guess not acting Black enough is a whole thing. It is a whole thing. But what I kind of want to say to you is, you can literally just act how you want to act. You don't need to act a certain way because you feel like that's what you're supposed to do, because that's what they've told you you're supposed to do. Because if you do that, then you're literally just not living your life, to be honest. Like, you're living it for somebody else and you're acting a certain way because that's what they've said. I guess my Cliff Notes version is, don't change who you are to try and fit into a box, because that box is just going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Because if you act a certain type of way, then they'll be like, oh, well, you act like that, why you're not acting like this? Box gets smaller. Oh, yeah, like that, why not acting like this? Box gets even smaller. Be as Black as you choose to be. Like, does that make sense? But like, be as Black as you choose to be and act in a way that makes sense to you, and act in a way that you're still, like, I think the main thing as well is like, remember to try and embrace your culture. Don't push it aside, which is something that I'm going to say I'm guilty of. Like, back in the day, like, I feel like I did push aside my culture a little bit to try and fit in with the white people, but there's no point doing that, because then you feel lost within your own culture. You feel lost within like who you are as a person. I hope that throughout this whole video you kind of like took something from it and understood a little something about it as well. Even if it's not exactly catered to you in terms of like, am I Black enough? I think it can still kind of fit into terms of like, coming to terms with yourself as a person. Because the more you understand yourself as a person, the more you can embrace that a little bit and the more you feel comfortable to show who you are. I just hope that something from this entire video may have clicked a little bit or you felt connected to. And if it didn't, then I hope you just enjoyed the video. I just hope you had something to put on in the background, I guess. Keep doing you, and remember that keep doing what you love, because if you love what you do, no one can ever take that from you, honestly. So let me put my mask back on and get into some shade because it is too hot. Lord have mercy.